Multiplying polynomials. First thing we got to do is multiply some monomials first, just to kind of see the basics, and then we'll get to some binomials and trinomials here in just a little bit. Multiply the numbers out front called coefficients. Those are the big numbers out front, and then add the exponents of the same variable. So exponents are little numbers up top. So the first thing I'm noticing on this first one, 6x times 5x, there are no little numbers up top. There are big numbers out front. You know, I'm supposed to multiply those big numbers out front. 6 times 5 is 30. And then I need to add the exponents. There's ones hiding up there. That would be x squared. The next one, 7 times negative 8. Big numbers out front would be negative 56. There's only an x there. There's nothing to multiply. Negative 5 times 7 over here. That would be negative 35. X to the first times x to the first would be x squared. Out front, 2 times 8 would be 16. X's, add your exponents. What's 3 plus 2? 5. You add the exponents. 5 times negative 9 would be negative 45. Add the exponents up top. That would be x to the 10th. Over here, I've got 6. 3 times 2 is 6. And then x, 2 plus, whoa. So there's a 2 with an x, and there's a 7 with the x. That would be 9. And then there's not another y, so y to the 5th. You'd have 6x to the 9th, y to the 5th. Same kind of stuff right here. Let's look at 3 times 9. That would be 27. How many m's do we got up there? M times m would be m squared. Down below it, 2 times 5 is 10. And y to the 7th times y to the 5th, add the exponents, would be y to the 12th. All right, we got to distribute right here. Distribute. So what we're going to do is we're going to say 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 7 would be 14. 4 times g would be 4g. Minus 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times t is 3t plus 3 times 4 is 12. 5 times m is 5m minus 5 times 2 is 10. Negative signs out front. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x minus negative 4 times negative 3 would be a positive 12, sorry. Negative 3 times t, that would be negative 3t. Negative 3 times positive 6 would be negative 18. Negative 3 times 3 would be negative 9. Negative 3 times negative g would be positive 3g. 5 times 8 would be 40, and 5 times t would be 5t. 4x times x would be 4x squared. 4x times 2 would be plus 8x. 5t times 6 would be 30t. 5t times negative t would be negative 5t squared. Multiply the big numbers and then add the exponents up top. Down below it, negative g times 9 would be negative 9g. Negative g times negative g would be plus g squared. Negative g times negative, so it's like saying negative 1 times negative 1. It's positive 1. G times g, add the exponents. There's ones hiding up there. Next one. X squared times x. X squared times x would be x to the 3rd. X squared times negative 3 would be minus 3x squared. T cubed times 2 would be 2t cubed. Plus t cubed plus t, or times positive t, would be plus t to the 4th. G squared down the bottom times 5 would be 5g squared. G squared times negative g squared would be minus g to the 4th. The dimensions of a rectangle are shown. What is the area of a rectangle? I need to know that area of a rectangle is length times width or base times height. And I know that one of these is m to the fifth. The other one is 4m plus 3m squared. So I'm going to distribute just like we've been doing. That would be 4m to the sixth plus 3m to the seventh. And that is your final answer for the area of that rectangle. All right, let's distribute and combine some like terms now. So I've got x times x is x squared. X times positive 2 would be plus 2x. And then a minus 3 over there is all by itself. It's not getting distributed to because it's not in those parentheses. Now we don't have any like terms. X squared, we can't add that with 2x, and we can't add either one of those with a negative 3. That's my final answer right there. Okay, let's try the next one. T times 4 would be 4t. T times t would be plus t squared minus 2t. Now I got some like terms, right? 4t minus 2t would be 2t plus t squared. Down on the bottom right, h times h, that would be h squared. H times negative 5 minus 5h plus 5h. Well, there's nothing to go with the h squared, so it's going to be part of my answer. Negative 5h plus 5h would be 0h. So my final answer is h squared. Same kind of stuff here. Let's distribute. So I have x plus 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 3, minus 6. What like terms do we got? X plus 2x, that's 3x minus 6, just like that. Top right, y, and then we got to distribute the negative 5. So negative 5 times y would be negative 5y. Negative 5 times positive 3 would be minus 15. Combine your like terms. 1y minus 5y is negative 4y, and then minus the 15. Bottom left right there looks kind of funny. There's not a number to distribute, but it's a 1 right there. So you've got g, distribute the negative 1, minus 5 plus g squared. Nope, that's wrong. Minus 5 plus g, negative 1 times negative g would be plus g. What's g plus g? 2g minus 5. That's one way to go about that problem. What's the other way to go about that problem? Well, I'm glad you asked. You just got a minus sign in front of a set of parentheses. When you got a minus sign in front of a set of parentheses, you just change the sign of everything over there. You got g minus 5 plus g. Combine your like terms. There's your 2g minus 5 that we just got. All right, we've got binomial times a binomial now. Okay, so I've got, I put a bunch of boxes right here to kind of keep them all organized. You can FOIL first, outer, inner, last. I prefer to use the box method to make it all organized for us. So I've got x plus 2 times x plus 3. And I'm going to kind of fill in these boxes. I've got x times x goes right here. That's x squared. 2 times x would be 2x. X times 3 would be 3x. And 2 times 3 would be 6. I'd come over here. I'd write everything that's inside the boxes. X squared plus 2x plus 3x plus 6. I have some like terms right there in the middle. X squared plus 5x plus 6. 2x plus 3x is 5x. Next, let's pick one out. Let's do the bottom right. I've got x minus 4 and x minus 7. You could put the x minus 7 up top. You could put the x minus 4 on the left side. You'll get the same exact answer. Doesn't matter. X times x is x squared. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. x times negative 7, negative 7x. Negative 4 times negative 7 would be positive 28. So I've got x squared minus 4x minus 7x plus 28. Combine my like terms right there, I'd have x squared minus 11x plus 28. All right, we've done two positive signs right there. We've done two negative signs right there. Let's do one where we're mixing and matching here. So let's do, I don't know, we can do that first one up there, x plus 4 and x minus 2. So I'm just going to change it up just to show you that it's going to work either way. X plus 4, x minus 2. So I got to put a negative 2 up there. And I've got x squared. This would be negative 2x. This would be 4x. And this would be negative 8 right there. X squared minus 2x plus 4x minus 8. Combine my like terms right there. X squared plus 2x minus 8 is my final answer. Okay, same kind of stuff right there. Be careful with your negatives. Right here, I've got numbers as coefficients in my problem. Let's do the bottom right down there. So I'm going to have 3x plus 2, and I'm going to have x minus 4 right there. So 3x times x would be 3x squared. 2 times x would be 2x. 3x times negative 4 would be negative 12x. And 2 times negative 4 would be negative 8. I'm going to write everything that's inside the boxes out here to combine my like terms. My like terms are 2x and negative 12x. That would give me negative 10x. So I have 3x squared minus 10x minus 8. These look kind of funny. You know, I've got an exponent up there. But if I had an exponent that looked like this, like if I said, hey, what's 3 squared equal to? You know that it's 9, but you skip a step now. What is the step that you skip? You say it's 3 times 3. If I said, what's 4 cubed? That's 4 times 4 times 4, 64. So when this says, 2x plus 1 squared, that means 2x plus 1 times 2x plus 1. And then you have to do the box. You'd have 2x plus 1 and 2x plus 1. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 1 times 2x is 2x. 1 times 2x is 2x. And 1 times 1 is 1. I'd have 4x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 1. Combine my like terms, that's 4x squared plus 4x plus 1. Okay? These are unique in that they are the same number, but they have opposite signs. These are conjugates of each other. So x minus 5 times x plus 5, I'll have x minus 5 and x plus 5 right here. X times x is x squared, negative 5x, positive 5x, and then negative 5 times positive 5 is negative 25. When I write this out, x squared minus 5x plus 5x minus 25. What's negative 5x plus 5x? 0. So your final answer will only be a binomial in this case, x squared minus 25. The middle terms will cancel out on each of these when you multiply them. Next, I've got x plus 2 times x squared plus x plus 5. I got a bigger box. So I got x plus 2 and I got x squared plus x plus 5, just like that. Same kind of stuff, I just got to fill in a bigger box. So x squared times x would be x cubed. X times x would be x squared. 5 times x would be 5x. X squared times 2 would be 2x squared. 2 times x would be 2x. 2 times 5 would be 10. So I would have, I'm going to write over here in this other box, x cubed plus x squared plus 5x plus 2x squared plus 2x plus 10. Like terms, there's only one thing that goes with that x cubed, and it's itself there. X squared would go with this x squared. That would, 1x squared plus 2x squared would be 3x squared. 5x and 2x would be 7x, and then the plus 10 would be all by its little lonesome self right there. Last style we'll talk about is this x minus 3 cubed down at the bottom right. What does that 3 mean up top? That means write it 3 times. You'd have x minus 3 times x minus 3 times x minus 3. You would multiply 2 of those. You know, you can't multiply all 3 at a time. You know, if I said, what's 2 times 3 times 4? You'd have to say, oh, you know, 3 times 4, that's 12, times 2, that's 24. So let's, you know, maybe multiply those 2 first, and then we'll multiply the other one last. So when you multiply those, I would use the box, x minus 3 times x minus 3. Spoiler alert. You would get x squared minus 6x plus 9. Once you've got that, then I'm going to use a box like I have over here. So I would need to use a box like that to multiply and get my final answer.